They do not fear the man who wants to be liked. They use him. They sense his weakness instantly, like predators smell blood. His smile exposes him. His eagerness betrays him. Approval is not power. It is a leash, and the man who craves it walks willingly with that leash around his neck. He bends, he apologizes, he kneels, and when he is drained of all value, they discard him, empty, forgotten. But the man who kills that hunger, he becomes untouchable. He does not beg, he does not bend, he does not exchange strength for applause. He sharpens himself into steel. Respect becomes his foundation. Fear becomes his weapon. And with both, he is beyond reach, impossible to control, impossible to ignore. Being liked is fragile. It dies the second you refuse to entertain. But fear and respect endure. They echo in your absence. They linger in every room you've left. Your name carries weight. Your silence commands attention. People measure their steps around you, not because they like you, but because they fear the cost of crossing you. Power is not born from being agreeable. Power is carved from discipline, from resolve, from the cold refusal to kneel. The weak are consumed, the strong consume, and in this world you must decide which one you will be. They will not like you, but they will respect you. They will fear you, and that is enough. The need to be liked is weakness disguised as virtue. It drains strength, blinds judgment, and chains a man to the will of others. A man addicted to approval cannot stand alone. He bends at every demand. He apologizes when he should hold his ground. He kneels when he should rise. He calls it kindness, but in truth it is submission. Approval is the cheapest currency in existence. It is given freely, but only to the compliant, the tame, the powerless. Crowds clap when you bow. They smile when you obey. But every cheer is a chain, every compliment a leash, every nod a collar. And once the performance ends, once you no longer serve their interests, the same mouths that praised you will spit on your name. You will be discarded, mocked, erased. Most men never escape this trap. They confuse attention for loyalty and applause for strength. They waste their lives chasing validation, not realizing it is fragile, temporary, false. Approval evaporates the moment you stop entertaining, and a man whose worth depends on approval is not a man at all. He is property. But the man who kills this hunger, the one who no longer needs to be liked, becomes untouchable. He does not bend under frowns. He does not kneel under silence. He does not sell his power for a smile. He is cold. He is steady. He is immovable. And because he cannot be swayed, the world is forced to bend around him. That is the root of respect. That is the birth of fear. That is the essence of power. Approval builds on sand. It collapses at the first storm. Respect and fear build on stone. They endure. They command. They create legacies. And the man who commands them is remembered long after every smiling fool has turned to dust. So ask yourself, do you want their applause or your throne? If your choice is power, write it below. Respect over approval. Fear and respect are currencies more valuable than love, more enduring than approval, more powerful than affection. Love can be faked. Approval can be bought. Affection can be withdrawn the moment it becomes inconvenient. But fear and respect, when properly cultivated, are unshakable. They command obedience long after smiles have faded. Love is cheap because it is given freely. People love the entertainer, the weak leader, the agreeable fool. They shower him with praise, but only so long as he amuses them, only while he obeys. The moment he stops playing the role, their love evaporates. That is why love is weak. It is conditional. It bends with the wind. Respect, however, is different. Respect is earned by strength. It is forged through discipline, through consistency, through the refusal to kneel. Respect requires proof, and once it is established, it cannot be erased overnight. Even enemies respect the man who will not bend. Even rivals measure their steps before crossing him. Respect forces acknowledgement. Whether people like you or not is irrelevant because they cannot deny you. And then there is fear. Fear is the edge of the blade. It is the weight behind every command. When people fear you, hesitation grips them, betrayal slows, treachery falters, fear creates pause, and in that pause lies your advantage. A man who is feared does not need to beg for loyalty. The threat of consequence enforces it for him. Understand this: approval dies the moment you stop pleasing. Love can vanish in an instant, but fear and respect endure, even in your absence. They echo when your name is spoken. They linger when you leave the room. They extend your power beyond your presence. A man who is respected is followed. A man who is feared is obeyed. And a man who holds both, respect and fear, in perfect balance, is untouchable. He does not beg for loyalty. It bends toward him. He does not chase power. Power becomes his shadow. So abandon the false wealth of approval. Trade it for the iron currency of fear and respect. Because while applause dies, fear lasts. While smiles vanish, respect endures. And only these currencies build empires. If you understand this truth, comment below. Power over approval. Power is never built in the crowd. It is never found in desperate closeness, never earned by trying to blend in. Power requires distance, measured space between you and those who want to own you. The man who is always available, always accessible, always desperate to be seen, is never respected. Familiarity kills authority. Constant presence kills mystique. People value what they cannot easily touch. They respect what they cannot easily reach. Distance creates weight. Silence creates tension. When you pull yourself back from the noise, your presence sharpens. Every word you speak carries more force. Every move you make carries more weight. The crowd wonders what you're thinking, what you're planning, and that uncertainty feeds both respect and fear. Closeness breeds contempt. Give people too much of you, and they will treat you like common property. They will joke at your expense. They will test your patience. And once you allow that, you will never recover authority. But hold yourself back, and people hesitate. They choose their words carefully. They measure their actions in your presence. That hesitation is power. Understand this truth. You cannot be both ordinary and powerful. To stand above others, you must separate yourself from them. Your silence must be as sharp as your speech. Your absence must command as much weight as your presence. When you withhold yourself, you force others to fill the gaps with imagination, and imagination is always more powerful than reality. Distance makes men speculate. Speculation makes them cautious. Caution gives you control. By staying just beyond reach, you are never dismissed, never taken lightly. Instead, you become a figure to be respected, feared, and obeyed. The weak man clings to others for comfort. The powerful man creates space so others cling to him. Never forget, the throne is not found in the crowd, it is elevated above it. If you are ready to embrace this truth, write below, distance creates power. Words are weapons, but the strongest weapon is silence. The weak man cannot stay quiet. He reveals himself in every outburst, every explanation, every need to be understood. He talks to be liked. He explains to be accepted, and in his endless talking, he gives away the one thing that should never be given, his power. The man of power speaks less. He lets silence do the heavy lifting. Silence forces others to reveal themselves, to grow uncomfortable, to fill the void with their own nervous chatter. In silence, people expose their fears, their insecurities, their intentions. Meanwhile, the silent man watches, he learns, he calculates, he sharpens his strike. Understand this, silence creates fear. A man who does not rush to answer, who does not explain himself, who does not spill his emotions at every turn, this man becomes unreadable. And what cannot be read cannot be controlled. The unknown breeds unease, and unease breeds caution. Silence makes them second-guess their every word in your presence. That hesitation is your power. Talking too much makes you common. Silence makes you rare. Talking lowers your value. Silence raises it. The fool begs to be heard, but the powerful man controls when he will be heard and when he will not. That control separates the ruler from the ruled. A single word, delivered after long silence, strikes like thunder. A single command, spoken rarely, is obeyed like law. People respect what they cannot predict, and silence is unpredictability sharpened into a weapon. Never explain more than necessary. Never reveal more than required. Let your silence carry the weight of your presence. Let others feel the pressure of not knowing what you think, not knowing what you plan. In that tension, you are already winning. Power is not always in what you say. Often, it is in what you withhold. The strongest men in history understood this. Silence is not emptiness. It is strategy. If you understand that silence is a weapon, write below. Silence is power. Power survives only when it is enforced. Respect without consequence is fragile. Fear without consequence is empty. A man who lets disrespect slide, who tolerates betrayal, who allows his authority to be tested without response, is a man waiting to be devoured. People push until they hit a wall. If no wall exists, they will tear you apart. The powerful man understands this. Every action must carry weight. Every boundary must be enforced. When someone crosses the line, there must be consequence, swift, undeniable, unforgettable. Without it, you invite further testing. People respect what is punished. They fear what is enforced. This does not mean rage. Rage is weakness. It is loss of control. Consequence is cold. It is measured. It is precise. The punishment is not delivered out of emotion. It is delivered out of necessity. And because it is cold, it cuts deeper. People forget anger. They do not forget precision. Consider this. A single ignored insult invites 10 more, but a single response carried out with absolute certainty silences the room. No one wonders whether you will act. They know you will. That knowledge alone is enough to deter future defiance. The weak man hopes people will do the right thing. The strong man ensures they do. Hope is not a strategy. Consequence is. When your presence carries the weight of inevitable response, no one takes you lightly. They measure their words. They hesitate before crossing you. That hesitation is your shield. Understand this. Authority without consequence is illusion. People may smile in your face, but without fear of reprisal, they will betray you the moment it suits them. True power does not live in promises. It lives in enforcement. So build your walls high and guard them well. When disrespected, respond with precision. When tested, strike with certainty. Not out of anger, not out of impulse, but out of principle, because power survives only when boundaries are defended. If you understand that consequence is the backbone of authority, write below, consequence creates respect. Power is not just about strength. It is about control of perception. The man who controls the frame controls the reality others live in. Most men lose power not because they are weak, but because they allow others to define the situation, the rules, and the meaning of their actions. He reacts instead of dictates. He defends instead of commands. And in defense, he is already defeated. The frame is the invisible stage upon which power is played. If someone insults you, the insult only holds weight if you accept the frame that it matters. If someone challenges you, the challenge only has power if you step into their terms. The man who controls the frame rewrites the terms instantly. He dictates what is important, what is ignored, what is magnified, and what is dismissed. This is why the weak man is always explaining, justifying, apologizing. He has lost control of the frame. He dances inside the world someone else created for him. But the powerful man never explains more than necessary. He never chases to prove himself. He defines the situation with silence, with presence, with certainty, and others are forced to play by his rules. Control of the frame creates psychological dominance. When people cannot predict how you will interpret or respond, they hesitate. That hesitation gives you leverage. It makes them cautious, measured, restrained. They begin to bend around your definition of reality, even without realizing it. Understand this: reality is flexible. In every interaction, the stronger frame wins. And once your frame becomes dominant, others unconsciously obey it. They fall into orbit around your certainty. They adjust themselves to your gravity. That is why powerful men speak less, but with weight. That is why they never rush to defend, never beg to be understood. They do not accept the frame of others. They impose their own. He who controls the frame controls the world. If you dictate the meaning, you dictate the outcome. If you define the game, you own the victory. Power is not always about action. It is about perception. If you understand this, write below. I control the frame. The man who is owned by desire, approval, or emotion is a man who can be controlled. Attachment makes you predictable. Predictability makes you weak. When people know what you crave, they know how to move you. When they know what you fear, they know how to trap you. When they know what you cannot walk away from, they know where to chain you. Detachment is freedom. Detachment is power. The man who is willing to walk away from anything cannot be threatened. He cannot be bribed. He cannot be held hostage by fear of loss. He becomes a man who moves on his own terms. The weak man clings. He clings to relationships, to approval, to possessions, to comfort. He thinks attachment makes him secure, but in truth, it makes him fragile. Break the thing he clings to, and you break him. Remove it, and he collapses. His soul is owned by what he cannot release. The powerful man is different. He values, but he does not cling. He engages, but he does not depend. He enjoys, but he does not need. And because he does not need, he cannot be broken by loss. His strength is internal. His resolve is self-contained. He is anchored in discipline, not in attachment. Detachment sharpens fear and respect. When others see that you are willing to walk away, they chase you harder. When they see you are not desperate, they value you more. When they realize you do not beg for approval, they respect your presence. This is the paradox. The less you need others, the more they need you. Emotional detachment also creates clarity. The man consumed by anger, lust, or insecurity acts recklessly. His enemies only need to press the right button and he destroys himself. But the detached man remains cold, calculating, unmoved. He decides instead of reacts. He acts with precision, not impulse. That calmness terrifies those who cannot rattle him. Understand this: detachment is not apathy, it is control. It is the discipline of never giving your soul away cheaply. It is the strength to walk alone if necessary. It is the refusal to kneel before desire or fear. The man who masters detachment becomes untouchable. His enemies cannot chain him. His allies cannot manipulate him. His power flows from within, unshaken by the shifting winds of circumstance. If you understand that detachment is the key to freedom, write below: detachment is power. True power is not always loud. It does not always need to shout, boast, or announce itself. Real power is presence, the invisible weight that bends the room without words. A man with presence does not beg for attention. He does not chase validation. He enters, and the atmosphere shifts. Eyes move, voices lower. The environment adjusts to him. Presence is built through discipline, through consistency, through cold restraint. It is the accumulation of silence, certainty, and authority. Weak men try to impress. Powerful men do not need to. Their restraint becomes their strength. Their silence becomes their dominance. Their aura tells the room, I cannot be ignored. The weak man tries to be seen. He tries to be heard. He forces himself into attention, and because he chases it, he loses it. People may notice him, but they do not respect him. His energy screams desperation, and desperation is weakness. The powerful man does the opposite. He withholds himself. He speaks less, but when he does, his words cut. He does not move frantically. He does not act impulsively. He acts with precision, and that precision is intimidating. People sense when a man is measured. They sense when he does not waste himself. And that sense breeds respect, sometimes even fear. Presence also comes from alignment. When your words, actions, and demeanor reflect discipline, others cannot dismiss you. They may hate you, they may envy you, but they will acknowledge you. Even in silence, even in stillness, your presence commands. This is why you must build yourself into a figure that cannot be ignored. Your posture, your gaze, your stillness, all are weapons. The man who fidgets, the man who rambles, the man who cannot hold silence, he has no presence. But the man who waits, who controls the rhythm, who allows others to feel the weight of his silence, he commands without speaking. Presence is the shadow of respect and fear combined. It lingers even when you leave the room. It makes people cautious even when you are not watching. That is power without action. That is influence without force. Understand this. Command is not always about what you do. It is about what others feel in your presence. And when they feel that weight, you do not have to demand power. They hand it to you. If you understand this law, right below, presence commands power. Power is not preserved by mercy. It is not secured by kindness. It survives through ruthlessness, the cold willingness to do what others fear. Weak men believe mercy earns loyalty. They believe kindness creates respect, but mercy without strength invites betrayal, and kindness without boundaries invites exploitation. Ruthlessness is not rage. Rage is sloppy. Ruthlessness is precise. It is cutting ties without hesitation. It is punishing betrayal without apology. It is enforcing consequences so sharply that no one dares to test you twice. Cold, deliberate action terrifies far more than emotional outbursts. Understand this. The world does not reward good intentions, it rewards dominance. Those who fear being ruthless will always serve those who embrace it. And history does not remember the agreeable. It remembers the strong, the relentless, the feared. If you understand this truth, right below, ruthlessness secures power. Forget being liked. Approval is dust. Power belongs to the man who commands respect and enforces fear. He does not beg. He does not bend. He does not explain. He moves with silence, strikes with precision, and leaves a shadow that lingers long after he is gone. That is how you become untouchable. The weak will call you cold. The fragile will call you ruthless. Let them. Their words are the cries of men who kneel. Power was never meant for the agreeable. It belongs to those who can carry its weight without apology. This is your choice now, applause or authority, comfort or control, weakness or power. Decide, and if you've chosen power, right below, I am untouchable. Now, like this video, subscribe and turn on notifications. The laws of power are only beginning.